Beatrice keeps calling while I'm in the midst of documentation, and this is what the entity is doing on an ongoing basis, and then calling and referencing something that they want to discuss, such as, oh, I'm locked out of my apartment. Can you come let me out? Can I put in a work order? Oh, Erica, are you available right now? Because there's a resident that's locked out of their apartment, and they're all monitoring. So this is why I captured the light source over my head while Beatrice Toledo of 1816 number 4 is calling. That's the operation of the communication device. While you're looking at the impossible light activity on my ceiling in my living room, you're looking at the light source that's hovering over my apartment while I'm reminding you of what is the light source that's over me on March 22nd, 2022 at the exact same time while I'm on Omnitrans, leaving Pomona, California, and that light source remained directly over my head, which is speaking to the pattern of conduct that the people of the state are stalking in your path, keeping you under surveillance. This is surrounding the psychopath with the evidence of its mental instability, which will result in what are mental examinations of the people of the state and the state that's placing you under surveillance and doing so through the demonic methods. This is the malicious behavioral pattern. She is monitoring on a communication device in violation of Title 18, 22618 subsections 1 and 2 in concert with the police who are stalking in a helicopter with simultaneity to the same pattern of conduct, everything that they're monitoring on my phone. So literally as I'm looking at the evidence of the light source that's over me at the Fontana Lewis Library, as again, my arrival on the bus in Fontana at Randall and Sierra at 12:21 p.m. while I'm on the bus. That is speaking to the light source that's hovering over my apartment while you have a demon-possessed third party who is utilizing the communication device as a means of not only wants to distract. This is what the entity does when it's stalking in a helicopter. And this is what is so, again, this is the futilistic efforts, okay, of an entity that is surrounded with evidence, but still is obsessively stalking and monitoring you, and is also a hostile demon, cannot control itself, can't stop itself. That's also legally relevant. It's going to inform policy and the ways in which they're punished. All of the pattern of conduct is underway. They're all looking at my phone, looking at what I'm looking at. Immediately a phone call comes through. Okay, this is what H&R Block engaged in, sending a text message, which I specifically responded, I specifically stated in my creating my account today, not to send me text messages. I only opted for emails. They sent a text message, and it's the time that a text message was sent. It's the exact same thing that Beatrice Toledo engaged in while they are reviewing the evidence, wanting to avoid, in other words, me capturing another video. Not that I need that video of the light source hovering over my office right now, which is nowhere near the Fontana Lewis Library, where I'm at on March 22nd, 2022. Okay, I don't need it. I already have it. I've already captured the light source, which is remaining here after 5 p.m., remaining outside of my window after 6 p.m. You already know that. You already know that. The entity that is monitoring on my phone is engaging in what is using that communication device in the engineer light. That's direct evidence of the pattern of conduct. You are engaged in surveillance, and you're a whole psychopath asking questions that you already know the answer to, seeking to avoid further documentation about your criminal conduct, which is already surrounded by a body of evidence. You're not avoiding it, and you are living at the crime scene. Everybody knows. Everybody's going to know. Want to be clear with what the people of the state at Alvarado Gardens are engaged in, and it's 24-hour criminal surveillance. And they're going to federal prison while the entity engages in that sort of psychotic conduct, which is in no way suggesting innocence. That doesn't suggest you're innocent because you're asking a question that you know the answer to it. You're under the light source. You're engaged in surveillance. You're a demon-possessed, malicious psychopath asking a question that you know the answer to. You know exactly where I'm at. You know when my panties are going down in my apartment, while the entity is surrounding you with engineered light above your head, on the ceilings, all over the walls. And then you have a third party using your communication device to monitor you, and also to be a distraction, ask anything. This is that look over their conduct while I'm looking at the evidence of what I captured on March 22nd. So I'm going to use this as the opportunity. I took screenshots of Beatrice Toledo, who wanted me to unlock her front door for her. This is the entity that's engaging in that act. Everything that they're doing is under the light source. They're engaged in surveillance. I captured that. They're crossing paths on the property. They're doing it under the light source. I'm capturing group stalking. That's underway at Alvarado. Everybody here is going to federal prison. Systematic facilitation, the impermissible threat, acting in concert with the police departments, federal prison. They're all going to federal prison, all 59 units, okay? But I want to be clear, all third-party group stalkers that live in the 59 units, let me clarify that. And the children that live here are going to be removed from the custody of the people of the state. They've made them sex offenders. They've made them terrorists. They've made them stalkers, group stalkers participating and facilitating criminal surveillance. Yes, they will be removed from the people of the state's custody. All right, so this is the light source. And as I captured in images upon exiting my apartment today during daylight savings time at 1:17 p.m., I also captured as I walked to my office. I'm on the phone. I captured a still image 1:17 p.m. I'm on the phone with H&R Block. This is subject to what is monitoring my conversation with my tax preparer and the tax preparer itself. H&R is the entity. My taxes are being prepared by the entity. Under the light source, in operation of my communication device necessarily, the entity is stalking by helicopter as I capture group stalking via the laundry room, crossing path as I walk that way, and the light source remains over me as I walk back over here to 1810. And the entity is stalking by helicopter, which I capture in relevant position in still images. This is capturing, again, what is the absence of any sun that's over the Fontana Lewis Library, contrary to what I captured leaving from Pomona, and that light source while I was subject to federal group stalking and monitoring by the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, and that light source remained over me while I was en route to the Fontana Lewis Library. In direct contravention, by the way, to documentation establishing or trying to establish, failing to establish because you're documenting Satan. Okay, Satan is a liar and a psychopath, and so you surround Satan with evidence. Okay, so the entity is suggesting that that's a natural environment that's over the light source over me over Fontana Lewis Library at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. Oh, well, I bet you it's not. And that's why I went to Pomona and I showed you what is the absence of any light source anywhere in Fontana, because it's over my head while group stalkers affiliated with the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department are present in the path replete with what is engineered light, impossible light activity, monitoring with Metrolink, monitoring with the Pomona Fire Department, the Pomona Police Department, the Los Angeles Fire Department. The entity is maintaining that light sources. Then I go to the Fontana Lewis Library, and in video you will see at 12:57 p.m. the light source is over me while I'm looking outside of that window that faces Sierra Avenue. But at the same time, I want you to see, at the same time, the entity is engaging in what is, this is monitoring what you're seeing Beatrice Toledo engaging in, and this is impunity, and that's why she's going to federal prison. The entity is engaging in what is placing the light source over me at Fontana, California. At 12:57, I captured that video. But you're looking at me today during daylight savings time at the same time, okay, 12:57, I'm inside of my apartment, and you know the light source is over my apartment. You know impossible light activity is inside of my apartment. You know the light source is over me as I walk out of my apartment at 1:17 p.m. You know that the LAPD is stalking in the path, amplifying helicopter activity as I walk from my apartment to my office. And the light source remains here. And what you'll see on March 22nd is the light source that's over my over Fontana Lewis Library, over my head as I walk to the back of the library facing Sierra. And you will see at 6:02 p.m. that light source remains at that same window over me in Fontana, nowhere near building 1810 where the entity built in through the window of my apartment of 1806. None of that is coexisting. You cannot see the light source that's hovering through the window of the back of the Fontana Lewis Library and also in the sky view, in the sky space through my window of the 1806 North Alvarado Street. Under no circumstances is the sun going to be rising and setting visible through the windows of one apartment either. This is what you already know, and this is how you are understanding what is no exception, and that is the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. They're group stalkers, and not only that, they're demon-possessed ones, and that's a secret that they don't want you to know. They're engaged in state surveillance, and it was documented on March 22nd, 2022. It is impossible that the sun would ever be anywhere in Pomona, moreover, while I'm remaining at one address all day long, and the entity is engaging in the asininity of keeping a light source all day long from the beginning to the end of the day, and that's how you have people like Isela Hernandez and Roberto Aguilera, Hector Aparicio, both of his kids over and under the age of majority, group stalking inside of 18022 and 18065, that's Careto, Carmen, and Delia Maradiaga, group stalking in the laundry room, while you have what is the light source that's remaining here. There's no light source that's going to be in Pomona. There's no sun that's going to be in Pomona. There's no sun that's going to remain over a bus en route from Pomona to Fontana. There's no sun that's already present at any time on that day over the Fontana Lewis Library, as documentation has already established. What was that? That was over my head at Sierra Avenue and Arrow while Officer McMillan was on a motorcycle with no license plate. That wasn't the sun. The light source remains over me because I'm subject to state surveillance and is of a demonic nature. This is psychological torture that I am exposing that the state of California is engaging in concert with the people of the state. Demons driving fire trucks like LA Fire demonstrated to you on March 22nd, 2022. All right, demons flying helicopters like the Los Angeles Police Department continues to exhibit for 47 minutes, by the way, yesterday. Reference the documentation. All right, psychological torture while demons that are pacing all around you, living even at an environment where they utilize children to engage in that psychotic behavior of pacing all around in engineered light. All right, all they're doing is stalking, knowing what you're doing, and that's why you see things like engineered light on my ceiling, and then you want to appear normal like you're just walking by. That's the demon-possessed psychopath. That's understanding what is psychological torture also, okay? And that's why they're going to federal prison. It is currently 2:21 p.m., and that's capturing impunity, okay? That's capturing impunity, just monitoring you in your face. All right, that's going to be met with what is time in federal prison. All right, this is the light source that's nowhere near the Fontana Lewis Library. That is again number 18, number 6. She's losing her children. She's going to federal prison, and her documented impunity is going to be used against her. All right, and all of the entity. She's not an individual. She's the entity that's present in the shoes of the state in a specific environment where the entity is maintaining presence vicariously. That's what the secret society is engaged in, and this is understanding and breaking down and prosecuting psychological torture inflicted by a government. It's a matter of public corruption, and there is no light source that's going to be present, no sun that's going to be present remaining from the beginning of the end to the end of the day. And the documented maintenance of that light source on March 22nd, it's remaining from the time of 12:57 p.m. until after 6:02 p.m., which I captured on video at that same window at the back of the Fontana Lewis Library. I remain here until the end of the day. The light source is remaining right here, and then it's moving over to be in alignment to my bedroom window. And then you're remembering all the light activity that's aimed inside of my bedroom, inside of my living room all day long. None of it is sunlight. That's the pattern of conduct, and that's what you're understanding. Things like Ryder, the demons that are Ryder, who were heavily documented, those 2 minions that were up on that lift, they're going to federal prison. All right, you're understanding what is the pattern of conduct that's underway. United States Postal Service is here monitoring right now. That's called relevant positioning. The light source is over me. It's nowhere in Fontana where the United States Postal Service is documented monitoring. It's nowhere in Ontario where the United States Postal Service is documented monitoring. They're engaged in group stalking here in Los Angeles where all the elements are present, and there is no exception. There is no respecter of any person. A demon wearing the United States Postal Service uniform is going to be prosecuted as the domestic enemy that it is. Period. Period. Okay, systematic engagement in the pattern of conduct. I want to be clear, it will be provided to the federal government that is going to prosecute who is arriving systematically, because they're going to federal prison. Okay, it is currently, again, let me show you. It's 2:23 p.m. This is P.O.C.